You know the feeling. That little jolt of electricity when you push through the doors at Marshall's. The scent of new clothes and possibility. Your eyes scan the landscape, the seemingly endless racks, the tables piled high, the shelves packed with home goods. Feels less like a store and more like a treasure hunt. Your brain kicks into high gear, calculating, comparing, hunting for that one incredible find. That name-brand jacket for a fraction of the price. That designer handbag that makes you look and feel like $1,000,000 without spending it. Feels like you've won. Like you've outsmarted the system. You walk out with your bulging bag, feeling the smug satisfaction of a deal well done. You didn't just shop, you conquered. But what if I told you that entire feeling, that entire experience, from the moment you walk in to the moment you swipe your card, is one of the most carefully engineered illusions in modern retail? What if you weren't beating the system, but were instead playing a game where the house Marshalls has stacked every single card in its favor? The truth is, Marshalls is not in the business of selling you designer overstock at a deep discount. Not anymore. It's in the business of selling you a story. A story of luxury, of scarcity, of being a savvy, smart shopper. And once you pull back the curtain and see the machinery behind that story, you will never, ever look at that yellow price tag the same way again. This isn't just about saving money. This is about understanding the psychological battlefield you step into every time you visit. So, before you make your next trip, let's break down exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Let's start with the heart of the Marshalls allure. The designer label. You see Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, Tommy Hilfiger. The tag proudly proclaims, compare at $200, and right below it, the Holy Grail. Our price $89.99. Your brain does the math instantly. You're saving over $100. It's a no-brainer. But here is the first, and perhaps most important, secret they don't want you to know. A massive portion of those brand name items were never ever intended for a high-end department store. They were manufactured specifically from the ground up for discount chains like Marshalls and its sister company TJ Maxx. This is the world of the made-for-outlet product. It's the same logo, the same font on the tag, but a completely different product. Think of it like this: you're not getting a filet mignon at a hamburger price. You're getting a lower-grade cut of meat with a filet mignon label slapped on it. These brands have separate, cheaper production lines. They use thinner fabrics, plastic hardware instead of metal, simpler stitching, less intricate patterns, and lower-quality dyes. A handbag destined for Nordstrom will have full-grain leather, sturdy brass zippers, and reinforced stitching. The Michael Kors bag at Marshalls might use a split-grain leather, a lightweight plastic zipper, and have minimal reinforcement. From a distance, they look identical. But in your hands, after a few weeks of use, the difference becomes painfully apparent. And the genius or the deception of the Marshalls model is that they mix these made-for-outlet items in with genuine overstock. That's the key. You might find one legitimate past-season item from a department store right next to 3 made-for-outlet items. Your brain, seeing one real deal, creates a halo effect, assuming everything around it is of the same origin and quality. It's a psychological trick of the highest order. They are using one authentic item to validate a rack full of imposters. Then there are the brands that sound high-end but are, in reality, complete phantoms. Names like Cynthia Rowley, Tahari ASL, or Vince Camuto Lifestyle Collection. They sound designer, they look designer, but they are what the industry calls diffusion lines, or, more bluntly, private labels created exclusively for the discount channel. You will never, ever find these specific items in a Saks Fifth Avenue or a Bloomingdale's because they don't exist there. They are manufactured to fill the racks of Marshalls and TJ Maxx, designed to give the impression of a high-end boutique at a bargain price. This branding theater, and you're the audience. Now, let's talk about the engine of this entire operation, the price tag itself. That compare at price is the cornerstone of the Marshalls illusion. It's the number that makes your heart beat a little faster. But what does it actually mean? The shocking answer is very little. In most jurisdictions, retailers are not legally required to prove that the compare at price was ever a real, prevailing price. There is no regulatory body checking to see if a $200 dress was ever actually sold for $200. That number is often a complete fiction, invented by a corporate buyer whose job is to make the discount look as dramatic as possible. I've seen items at Marshall's with a compare at price of $150 that I know for a fact sold at Macy's for $79 for the entire season. The Marshall's price? $69.99. So, you feel like you're saving $80 when in reality you're saving $9, and you're likely getting an inferior made-for-outlet version to boot. This practice taps directly into a powerful cognitive bias known as anchoring. The first number you see, the compare at price, becomes the anchor in your mind. All subsequent value is judged against it. When you see the much lower Marshall's price, your brain doesn't critically evaluate the item's true worth. It simply reacts to the perceived gap between the two numbers. This triggers a release of dopamine, the same neurochemical associated with pleasure and reward. You aren't just buying a product, you're buying a chemical rush. Marshall's isn't just selling you a jacket. It's selling you a feeling of victory. And the illusion doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the yellow sticker, the mark of clearance, the final frontier of the deal. You see that fluorescent tag and you pounce. But have you ever peeled one back? It's a game of discount inception. You'll often find another sticker underneath, and another, revealing a trail of markdowns that may have been more theatrical than actual. Sometimes the price hasn't changed at all. The item is just cycled through a new round of stickers to create a sense of urgency and freshness. It's a shell game designed to make you think an item is on its final chance, compelling you to buy now for fear of losing the deal. So, you've navigated the fake designers and the fictional discounts. You've found an item that seems like a genuine good value. But now we enter the third ring of the Marshall circus, the quality gamble. The chaotic, treasure hunt environment is not an accident. It's a core part of the strategy. When everything is disorganized and piled high, you are less likely to carefully inspect an item. You're in a state of excited, focused frenzy. This is when flaws get missed. Many of these discount brand items are produced in low-cost factories with minimal quality control. Furthermore, when a batch of goods fails a major retailer's quality inspection for minor defects, misaligned stitching, a slightly off-color dye lot, a weak seam, guess where it often ends up? That's right, sold off to discounters like Marshall's. You are, in essence, playing a form of retail Russian roulette. You might get a perfectly good item, or you might get one that was rejected by a more stringent buyer. Then there's the issue of returns. Marshall's has a notoriously high return rate. The business model encourages impulse buys, and buyer's remorse is common. But what happens to all those returned items? If they look even remotely resaleable, they are often quickly wiped down, repackaged, and put right back on the shelf. That new coffee maker you're buying might have been in someone else's kitchen for a month. That pristine handbag might have been carried for a week and returned. There is no final sale or as-is section for these items. They are seamlessly reintegrated into the shopping floor, sold as new. This leads us to the final defense mechanism of the Marshall's profit model, the return policy labyrinth. The official policy, 30 days with receipt and tags, sounds simple enough. But in practice, it's a minefield. Those little thermal paper receipts fade to nothing in a matter of weeks, sometimes days. Lose that faded slip, and your proof of purchase vanishes with it. Store staff are often trained to be gatekeepers, not problem solvers. They are instructed to adhere strictly to policy, with little room for discretion. Ask too many questions or try to return an item without a perfect, legible receipt, and you'll likely be met with a polite but firm refusal or an offer for store credit, trapping you back in the cycle. There are even reports of systems that track customer returns and flag those who make too many too quickly, potentially denying a return to a legitimate customer who has simply had a string of bad luck with defective products. The entire process is designed to be just frustrating enough that a significant number of people will simply give up, deciding it's easier to keep a broken blender or an ill-fitting shirt than to fight the system. Beyond the tags and the products, Marshall's operates on a deep understanding of human psychology. Every element of the store is choreographed. The new arrivals section at the front of the store is a powerful lure. It makes you feel like you're getting first dibs on fresh treasure. But new is a flexible term. It often just means moved. Items are constantly rotated from the back to the front, from one rack to another, to create a sense of perpetual novelty. The store you see on Tuesday is fundamentally the same as the store you saw on Saturday, just rearranged to feel new. The constant chaos and disorganization, it's not poor management, it's a calculated strategy. A perfectly organized store allows for efficient, targeted shopping. You go in, get what you need, and leave. Chaos, however, encourages browsing. You have to dig, to search, to sift. This process makes you invest time and effort into the hunt. And the more effort you invest, the more you feel compelled to leave with something to justify that investment. You've spent 45 minutes digging. You're not leaving empty-handed. Employee behavior is also part of the script. While most associates are just hardworking people, the corporate culture often encourages what can be called strategic ambiguity. If you ask if an item was a return, you'll likely get a vague answer. If you point out a flaw, it might be reframed as character or a unique find. The goal is to gently steer you away from doubt and back towards the thrill of the purchase. Even the long lines at the checkout, especially during peak times, serve a purpose. The wait builds anticipation and, perversely, reinforces the value of your haul. You've waited this long, you're certainly not going to abandon your cart now. And those impulse items strategically placed along the queue, they are the final test, the last-minute temptation before you escape. So, does this mean you should never, ever set foot in a Marshall's again? Not necessarily. But it does mean you must transform from a passive participant in their game into an conscious, informed consumer. The real bargain at Marshall's isn't an item. It's the knowledge of how the system works. Arm yourself with that knowledge. First, ignore the compare at price. Completely. Tear that part of the tag off mentally. Ask yourself one question. Is this item worth the Marshall's price to me, right now with no other context? If the answer is yes, then it might be a good buy. Second, become a forensic inspector. Check seams. Test zippers. Look for stains, pulls in the fabric, or misaligned patterns. Open the box of that kitchen appliance and make sure all the parts are there and look unused. Assume every item is a return until proven otherwise. Third, research the brands. If you see a designer name you don't recognize, a quick Google search on your phone can tell you if it's a legitimate high-end brand or a Marshall-specific private label. Know what you're actually buying. Fourth, question the urgency. That yellow sticker doesn't mean the item is going to vanish tomorrow. It might be there for months. Don't let a fictional countdown pressure you into a bad decision. Finally, shop with a goal, not a whim. It's okay to browse, but go in with a list. Are you looking for a specific type of sweater? A new set of towels? This focus will help you resist the siren song of the deal and make more rational purchases. Marshalls can be a source of legitimate value, but only if you are the one in control. The moment you let the store's carefully crafted illusion dictate your choices, you've already lost. The true savvy shopper isn't the one with the most bags. It's the one who understands the game well enough to know when to play, when to walk away, and when the real treasure was the money they decided to keep in their pocket all along. If this journey behind the curtain has changed the way you see those crowded aisles and colorful tags, you're already on your way to winning. You're no longer just a shopper, you're an investigator. And that is the most powerful discount of all.